Michele, welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited. We met through Cole at Dallas Market Center, which I'm super grateful that he made this connection. You've been brought on. You've had a tremendous career in the fashion accessory industry. Dallas brought you on to help new vendors that come on to do temp spaces as well as retailers, but really kind of help them, get their foot in the door, get their foot wet, and teach them how to have a good experience as a first-time shower. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but mostly right now, introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your what brought you to this point.
Absolutely. So Michele Doty is my name, and I have been in sales for a long time, in corporate sales for the first part of my career. So a little over 30 years in sales and about 14 years in this industry, in the fashion industry. So I worked with 2 different jewelry brands, and here I am now. I have my own consulting company, and I partnered with Dallas Market, and I'm so grateful for Cole, because it's been really rewarding. I help any brand really, but a lot of emerging designers really get their feet wet when it comes to markets. Right now, I'm helping when it comes to partnering with Dallas Market and really, everything that there is about sales. And then I coach on all aspects of sales when it comes to this industry. So it's mainly in the wholesale realm. But with my background working with 2 different brands, my customers were all retailers. So my goal is to kind of create a community and bridge that gap, or, connect people on the retail side and on the wholesale side.
Well, sales period is across the board. So whatever your industry is, selling is the key part of your business. What were you selling in corporate? I didn't ask you that.
Oh, yeah, you did ask me that. You know what? I was actually in recruiting. So I did sales for 2 different staffing companies.
Okay. And what I love then is like it's almost like the, not only the sales part of it, like a technical sales part of it and how to create sales, but also how to work with different personalities.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And in that industry, when you first come in, you have to work the side of, looking at the resumes, interviewing the candidates and everything. So I definitely have the whole realm, working with people, quite honestly.
Well, I think all of those pieces just make a stronger brand for what you're doing now. Well, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but
That's okay.
What's the number one mistake that you saw on people's resumes?
Oh gosh, only one.
Name a couple, because that was not at all part of this conversation. But now that you just said that, I'm like, I know a lot of people are going to wonder that themselves.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, back in the day, you have to remember I was doing this when, I'm old. So some people would literally put their date of birth, because that's how long ago I was. They put their date of birth. They would put their social security number. I actually had one guy, and this is a total sidebar here, but he was a convicted felon, and so I had to ask him, what his felony charge was, and he literally folded his arms and he sat back and he literally looked at me and said, "Murder." And I'm in this conference room, he's like 25 years old or something like that. I'm like, okay, I really want to help him because I want him to be happy.
Wow. Did he get a job?
I couldn't get him a job. I really did try, because he paid his dues, and, everybody deserves a second chance, but it was really hard because that's right there in black and white for everybody. You have to expose that. So it was a little difficult. Back then, it was really hard. Yeah.
It'd be difficult now.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to us a little bit about your career in the fashion industry and accessories, and then how it merged into what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. So I was working in my corporate job. I was very happy with what I was doing. I was working for a company where my sales team was in Manila and my operations team was in India, and all my customers were in the UK. So it was kind of like this fun, interesting job. I worked from home. But one of my girlfriends was the production manager for a brand called Virgin Saints and Angels. And she called me one day and said, hey, the designer's coming into town. We need a sales manager. You need to get dressed and get over here. And so I wound up interviewing for that job and got the job. And let's talk about corporate America working in fashion. It was kind of like a no-brainer. It was like, this sounds like so much fun. And I could work with one of my very best friends. Why not jump ship and give it a try? So when I started there, I acquired a sales team. And, what I really found was that even though I had all the sales background, sales is sales for sure, but there's still certainly things that you need to do to support whatever the industry is. And so what I was finding is, as I was talking to people, that there just didn't seem to be a lot of training and support for on the wholesale side, at least in what I knew in my little picture window. And then I left VSA and went to another brand. And I was there for a little over 7 years. And in that time, I really got to meet a lot of people at markets, a lot of different brands and salespeople. And what I found was the foundational things that you need to do whatever the sales is. Entrepreneurs sometimes, they're so creative, but they don't really know how to do that foundational sales, and it's not always taught. It's not necessarily, I don't even know if there's sales courses yet on college campuses. They teach entrepreneurship. So for me, it was like, all right, I really want to do something that makes me feel really good about myself and where I can really make a change and a difference in somebody's life and have a lot of impact. And I'm not a teacher. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a nurse or a doctor, but I do have some knowledge that I could share that could really mean something for somebody. And so back last year in March, I started walking around Dallas Market, and I met some brands, and they were really frustrated because they were having a really bad market. It was the last day and they just didn't have a good market. And so I asked them some specific things about what they did to prepare. And what I found was that they really didn't know what to do to prepare. And I felt like and one lady in particular, I'll speak of her really quickly. She was a single mom, and this was her dream. That being a designer is her dream. And she literally said to me, Michelle, I'm going to have to give it up and go back to corporate America because I have to put food on the table for my daughter. And in that moment, I literally grabbed her hand and I said, you know what, I might be able to help you. Don't quit yet. And that was really, really, truly the driving force to me starting this consulting company to truly help people who, I always say, you don't know what you don't know. And that was my driving force. And it's been really rewarding on every single level so far. So I launched my company, and then I was in I had contractual obligations until December. So I fully launched my company at December 4th. And here I am now. Yeah.
When you say foundational things for sales, like what does that mean? Because I know I've said this before, like I had stores and I could sell because they were my stores. And I, closed my stores and I went to go work for the people. And if you stick me in a store and I'm not merchandising, I don't know how to sell. Like I sell because I'm busy doing my thing. And someone will ask me a question. They always go to the person that's busy working. And yeah, I can sell that way. But if you stuck me somewhere where I'm supposed to like cold call or, just sell straight, I don't think I could do it. So what does that mean?
It's kind of twofold. What I mean when I first say foundational is in sales, no matter what it is, no matter what industry, no matter what it is, if you don't have prospects, if you don't have a pipeline, you can't build a relationship. So one of the things that I learned early on in my career was that sales is a relationship sport. You have to create relationships, but if you don't have the numbers game part, meaning you don't have the prospects, you can't build the relationships. So when I first say foundational, I mean, you have to find those people that are the right people for you to sell to, and you have to build that pipeline, and you have to always be consistently building that pipeline. The bigger your sales pipeline is, the more opportunity for sales. So that's kind of my first thing that I say. And then to answer your question, when it comes to being in, if I'm you and I'm, somebody comes up to me and approaches me about sales, the first thing that I would tell you in today's world, whether you are a store owner, and there's so many savvy store owners, and they're doing this on a great level, or if you're a brand, is story selling. I say it all the time because in today's world, people buy not only from people they know, like, and trust, but they buy from people who resonate with them. So if there's meaning, if there's a story, they will be more interested and more apt to buy. So if somebody were to come up to me and ask me about, what's going on with this or that when it comes to me being in a store, and I'm a salesperson on the floor, I'm going to find things that mean something to me. And that's what I'm going to start talking about right away. Because the minute I start telling a story, the person starts to buy into that.
Yeah.
It's just today's world, you can wear something, and some people don't care. But if I'm wearing something really pretty and it makes me feel pretty, that's great. But if there's something special about the meaning behind it, I love it even that much more. And there's always a story.
It certainly gives people something to invest themselves in of the story of this person or whoever. So I understand. Getting to the people that had the bad show that year, I know from doing shows, we all, as retailers, have done the shows, and you go through temps and you can tell unfortunately, the ones that are new or the ones that are not prepared because they're in their 10 by 10 with the pipe and drape. There's just a table and their stuff is laid out, and I can understand they're probably frustrated because no one's coming to their sad little table. But then to make matters worse, they're like on their phone. So if somebody does stop, because I'll try and shop every space just because it's like, I know that's where you're going to find the But you go up finally, and then you're standing there and they're on their phone. They literally don't look up, or they're in a conversation with the other person in the booth and they don't look up. And it's like maddening. So I can understand why some of these new brands, why they come out with a bad experience, because, it's not like the mart is going to tell you, this is how you have a successful show. That's where you come in now, which is why I think Dallas is brilliant in hiring you to do this rollout, because we talked before, it's the vendor's responsibility to look up who's shopping that. So it's your responsibility to look up where you are on the map. I mean, they may give you a space, but it's like, who are your neighbors? Can you not in the space? So talk to me a little bit about what this amazing program that Dallas is doing and it's for new vendors where they're coming into temps, whether it be gift or fashion week. Talk a little bit about what you teach them.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I'm going to tell you, Dallas is it's exciting and it's quite innovating, really. The thing I love about Dallas Market is they're investing. It's a family-run company, right? This is a grassroots company. This isn't some major corporation. And they invest in the brands and they invest in the retailers. So they're investing in training, which is where I come in. They're paying for these courses. And I'm training the vendors on things like, look, Dallas Market is providing a beautiful house, right? And they're inviting all of those retailers to come in. And by the way, they're investing in you, but they're also investing in retailers. They're literally giving incentives to these great buyers, like free hotels and things like that, to come to shop in Dallas, to come shop with you. But at the end of the day, if I'm a brand and I have this experience, so I'm speaking as somebody who knows, I cannot just expect to go up to the floor on 13th floor and set up my awesome product, which I know it's awesome, and expect it's not if you build it, they will come. It is Dallas is providing this gorgeous home for you, and they're even inviting all the guests to come. But at the end of the day, it is my responsibility to get them, to drive them to come see me, to come up to my booth and see me. So there's the one course that I teach, it's called Best Practices of Market, what you do before, during, and after market to really have a successful market. There's a lot of work that needs to be done by the brand if they truly want to get a big return on their investment. And those things are not Dallas Market's responsibility. It's the brand's responsibility. So what I do is I give them the tools to be successful. I teach them those things that they need to do before they go to market. So on the day they're going to set up their booth, they already know I'm going to get a return on my investment because they did all the things I needed to do. And I teach you the things that you need to do while you're at market to continue driving that business to you. And then what you do after market to take all of what you've learned at market, successes and not, and build on those for the next time. And, it's been really great and rewarding for me because, like I said, sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, you're a creative and you really don't know what you don't know. And so to have somebody teach you that's been there.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of new manufacturers, and I'm always blown away by, like, it's such a big thing when you're setting up a temp booth at gift or at fashion. And it's like, retailers have an idea because they've listened here, but it's like, the not only the prep that goes into it before, but then, the whole setup and then unpacking it and displaying it and then being there on your feet all day, every day with a smile on your face and trying to sell. And it is a lot. And I think that, I think it's brilliant that Dallas is doing this because no one else in the industry is doing it. And the only thing it's going to do is help make Dallas, like, temps even more successful. And I think that the retailer or the wholesale vendors who are lucky enough to get this class as part of being part of Dallas Show, I hope that they take all the advice and, because it seems like now you're like literally spoon feeding it to them. It's like, look, it's 100% your responsibility. It's like, if you have all these tools, you will have a successful sale. I mean,
yes.
And even if it's just like, even if you don't have a ton of sales, but you have the idea and you'll start to get traction because you actually are doing what you're supposed to do. But outside somebody not having somebody like you, like, I can understand why some of those booths look the way they do at temps because they have no idea.
Well, and I think there's two things I want to add because you brought up something else that I do want to touch on. And that is, I'm on my phone, I'm looking down, I'm talking to my neighbor, and you leave market like, oh, gosh, that stunk. I didn't make any sales. Well, you know what? It also takes work while you're there. And you should be standing up. If it's product you can wear, you should be wearing it. You should be, you be the vibe of your brand, quite honestly. And that's brand identity. And I talk about that a bit because you have to know the vibe of your brand and you have to be that. And sitting down and, you can't get the results you want by not doing the things. So, when you're there, and I know it's tiring, I get it, but this is what you built your company for. You know what I mean? Like you go to market and you pay all the money to make sales or to connect with people, to meet the brands around you for community, to work with Dallas Market so that you have people that can help you every time you come consistently to market, which you do need to do. But most importantly, to meet those connections, those viable buyers that Dallas is getting to come and start developing the relationship. So maybe they don't buy from you that time, but maybe they're going to remember you and they're going to buy from you the next time. So it is your responsibility to really represent your brand the way you ultimately want it represented. And I know it's tiring, but let me tell you, it could be the last day. And I've seen it a million times. In fact, I just talked with somebody about this yesterday. It could be the last day and some brands are starting to pack up and, they're done. They're just done.
I see that.
I know. And I write like, that all of a sudden it's like somebody comes in and I write the biggest order. And it's because, well, first of all, I'm still working and I'm still greeting and I'm still showing my stuff and everybody else is kind of done. So it's like all the buyers that are looking around, they're going to come to me, so I know it's hard work. I know it's a lot to stand on your feet, but at the end of the day, that's what you're there for. You're there for all of that. So you can't give up. You have to just keep pushing through. I know there's brands where I tease them. I'll walk by and go, "You're a jewelry brand. Get a necklace on. Wear something. Go back in your booth. Partner up with people, with other brands, and start taking pictures with each other and hashtagging it all over the place to start growing your Instagrams together. Work with the community that's there." everybody that's there is important to you. I have made sales being in the hot tub at the Renaissance Hotel because I'm talking to people. I'm honest to God, Rodeo Boat and the Renaissance Hotel restaurant, I have opened more stores just being there, wearing the product that I sell and talking to people. Being on the shuttle bus. The shuttle bus has all the buyers. Yeah. Talk to everybody. What are you here for? Oh, I'm here for, I'm a buyer. Oh, you are? Where's your store? I have a brand. You should come see me. I'm a new designer.
Okay, so that I have to touch on that because I talk about this all the time. There is something super weird about retailers when they're on that bus as well as when they are in showrooms. Like, no one is buyers. We don't talk to other buyers. And it's like the reps, I don't even know if the reps like turn out, but I think that's brilliant because it's like, I mean, I've never understood like why you're sitting on a bus all together and you can't start talking to your neighbor or whatever. People get really weird. Like I get you're in your own world. And I get you might not want to talk right then and there, but it's like you're in a space where like everyone's here to do the same thing. It's not a competition. It's like have a conversation, get to know somebody. But more importantly, like what you're saying is like, you know, if you're a vendor and you're on a bus and you start talking to people, it's like, I mean, that truly, I forget who I was at a bar. It was in Dallas and it was in the bar at the hotel. And she worked for the jewelry line and we started talking and she gave me her card and I went by because I wanted to see what they did. And it's like, I didn't write the line because I wasn't writing lines that time, but it was like, I would have never known. And it's a perfect example of like, open up, talk, engage people. And that's the same thing as when you're standing in your booth or your store, like open up, engage, talk to people. And that doing something where I always say, Fred Siegel always just say, energy creates energy.
Yes.
Which is why I can sell when I'm doing what I do. Like I'm merchandising. I'm the happiest person. I'm going like, I'm just in my own world. I'm loving what I'm doing. And same thing as I think for anybody working on anything they're doing, when you are busy, you have people, even you're shopping at Target and you look like you're doing something, you'll have people come up and ask you for help. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's always where people will start to engage. If you're busy working and doing something and, you know, even if you're faking something like working, but when you're on your phone, it's this giant sign of like, not interested, not going to talk to you.
Right. And, you know, it is a huge takeaway. One of the things I really teach, I really bring it up a lot, is that networking is key. I mean, networking truly is key. I mean, look at Cole. Cole introduced the two of us together and, you know, I'm so grateful for it. I mean, you're like a merchandising maven and I really do need to talk to you off on the side about that. But the bottom line is networking is so key in any industry and especially in this industry because it's hard sometimes for a brand. You wear all the hats. It's a lonely job. Sometimes you might be the only employee there. So this is your community. When you're at market, this is your community. Build it, foster it, grow it, take advantage of it as best as you can. Get to know as many people as possible. I have literally not given business, but handheld a retailer to another brand because they're saying, hey, I'm looking for a jewelry brand, but a small, delicate, I've got them free. Let me take you over there right now. And I know that probably, you know, it's going to come back to me. There's enough business in the community to go around. We all need to remember that we're all in it together. And as long as you're doing your due diligence and you're really, you know, you're doing the right things foundationally, and you, the whole thing that you said about like your attitude, your energy, if your energy's low, if you're even a bad market, my suggestion is don't be icky about it. Don't bring everybody around you down. That's when you need to fake it till you make it and smile. I'm serious.
Nobody wants to buy from Debbie Downer.
Yeah, they're right. Nobody wants to buy from Debbie Downer. And by the way, Debbie Downer, nobody around you wants that energy either because it breeds negativity. Yeah. And, you know, I am one of those people who I say it all the time. Nothing great happens without enthusiasm. And it is really true. So if you really want good things to happen, then you need to be enthusiastic. And gosh, if it's your brand, this is the thing. This is your baby. This is the thing you should be the most passionate about. So, suck it up, buttercup. I mean, because it's not fair to everybody around you. If you have that, like you were saying, kind of like aggravated looking down and, that not happy energy, it doesn't serve you well, and it doesn't serve anybody around you well either. So, remember why you're there, really.
Retailers, that goes the same for your team on your store floors. Because I say it all the time too. It's like I'll go in stores. There's a store in Hermosa Beach that, have lovely clothes, and same thing. Walk in, and it's like the two girls that are there working together are behind the counter, both in the, watching TikToks, like talking back and forth. There's literally 4 people in their store. And it's not inexpensive merchandise. It is like Spell and the gypsy dresses that are like $300 each. And women have them in their hand talking about them. And it's like the perfect opening for somebody to say something. Those girls sat there and literally every single one of the customers recognized, and they were like, forget it, just put the dresses back and walked out. And it's like, and there's a lot of store owners, I think, that don't realize that that's happening in their stores because they don't shop their stores or whatnot. But I think that that is a huge thing, that what you just said is equally applicable to retailers, because energy creates energy. And it's, you walk into Debbie Downer store, and I get like you having a bad day, and I completely understand what fear starts to creep in. Like, you've been at the show for 3 days. You had energy the first 2 days, and now you're starting to like freak out a little bit because there's no sales and how much the booth cost you. And, I mean, that would be a good question to ask you. Is it, for those who have had the first 2 days, they were fired up, they're excited, I'm so glad I'm here. And now it's like day 3, they have very few sales. They've lost the air in their sales. They're starting to, that fear is creeping in, and I've spent this much money. What do you tell somebody to pull them out of that, other than suck it up, buttercup? Because that's totally my way. But like, what do you tell somebody that's feeling like that?
Right.
Get them out and get them like, come on, let's go.
Right. Well, yeah, when I say suck it up, buttercup, I mean,
I say it just, believe me.
Yeah. Let me just say, the brands, I say it all the time, like, the brands are amazing. I mean, I've met so many creative people who have these amazing brands, and they just truly need exposure and visibility. And I understand it's an investment, and it's really scary for a brand to invest a lot of money like that and feel like they haven't sold. It's the last day, and they have not only did they give it an ROI, return their investment, but now they're feeling like they're losing money. It is very scary. And what I would say to somebody in a situation like that is, let's start really leaning into our community here and start talking to the people around you, the people, the veterans, so to speak. Start asking them questions. And by the way, I feel very strongly that in today's world, honesty is the best policy. So what I tell people is, start being honest. As you're talking to stores, let them know, hey, you know what? I'm a new designer. This is my very first market. It's the first time I'm showcasing my products. Can I show you my products? I'd love to get your feedback. Where's your store located? And then tell them a little bit about it. I will tell you a quick story, total sidebar here. When my kids were little, I had a little break between my corporate jobs, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a very short time. And I wound up working at my friend's Italian restaurant, and he asked me to bartend. I knew nothing about, I didn't even know that whiskey was like brown. I was like a wine drinker. Anyway, long story short, my first day I go, I have not 1 ounce of training. I'm just behind the bar. And there were a bunch of locals behind the bar, or on the other side of the bar. And literally they would order whiskey sour or Manhattan. And I would honestly say to them, I have no idea how to make that, but if you tell me how, I'm going to try to make you the best one you've ever had. And they were so wanting to help me because I didn't know. And it's the same thing. Honesty, everything that we do is communicating, just like what we're doing right now. Sales is truly just a conversation. So if you are a new brand and you're on the phone with somebody, or you're at a booth, just be honest. And those store owners, by the way, a lot of these people they're just small business owners too. And people innately want to help people. So if things are hard at market, my best advice is be open and honest. just tell people as they're walking by, I have a new brand. This is the first time I'm at market. I'd love to get your feedback. And what do you think of this?
Well, and then I just love to hear feedback. It's so not salesy, which is really.
Yeah, it's so not salesy. And by the way, where's your store located? Because now you're softening this, and now we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And by the way, again, the whole sales thing is people buy from people they know, people they like, and people they trust. And now you are starting to build that rapport. Maybe they won't buy from you this time, but they're going to remember you. And the next time you're there, they're going to walk by and they're going to ask you how it's going. And when they have a need for whatever your product is, they're going to call you. It's just being honest.
I love that piece of advice. So you do this for Dallas Market Center, but you have a consulting firm that people hire you. Could be apparel, could be accessories, could be gift, retailers, whatnot. Talk a little bit about what it looks like to sign on with you as a consultant.
Sure. So it's growing and evolving, just like all the brands that I work with are. So I do one-on-one consulting with brands and sales teams as well. I've been hired to train some sales teams, and also mainly one-on-ones with brands. And a lot of them are emerging brands, just getting into the wholesale game. And I do one-on-one monthly with them consulting. And so I really curate that to whatever the brand's needs are and who they are. And I literally start at the beginning, which is again, that foundation. And then I take them through all the way to strategy and revenue generators and line sheets and pricing and whatever it is. I have, quite the arsenal of support. And at some point soon, a lot of those courses will be offered singularly on my website. They're just not yet. So really right now, my goal is to just help anybody who truly needs help when it comes to education, when it comes to their wholesale business. Getting their wholesale business up and running and building that community. That's really important to me. I want people to know, and probably you too. I just hired a marketing graphic designer person, but at the end of the day, I'm here alone all the time. And a lot of the brands, that's how they are too. And so we all need a community to feel a part of, to be able to bounce ideas off of, to be able to say, have you ever been through this before? How did you get out of it? What did you do? So ultimately, that's one of my big goals is I'm trying to build this community of these incredibly creative people so that everybody feels supported and just really has the opportunity to be the best that they can be for themselves and their company.
And this could be gift or apparel or...
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Absolutely. So anything in the fashion, beauty, home, and gift industries, really any product, quite frankly, it would work for.
But I feel like also retailers could hire you for sales training for, and I think that, for stores that have multiple locations, owners that aren't in their stores all the time, and they have young teams who have that energy and want, but don't have the sales knowledge on, how to start up a conversation. Because I know when I was in sales, it's that ask open-ended questions. You don't get trained that. Like you get shoved onto a sales floor and it's like, okay, go. And, there's self-starters and then there's the poor, ones that are over there in the corner kind of hiding over like, please don't ask me for help. And, there's a confidence in your staff, or giving your staff confidence in giving them the tools to sell. So I feel like retailers could hire you, for sales training as well. And
I've actually done that, interestingly enough, because I do work, obviously I'm still in touch with all of the wonderful retailers, a lot of them that I have worked with over the years. And I have done that for a lot of them. Actually, there's one store down here near me that I do on a regular basis. And she actually asked me to create like a training video that I could put on my website. And it's kind of like the A to Z, like even things like, what do you do when there's nobody in the store? Because the last thing you want is for people standing around doing nothing. Well, other things that you can do is quite honestly, if your sales team has ability to have access to some of your staff, to some of your customers, how great is it that they can say, hey, we just got a new shipment of XYZ in, and I noticed, you've bought several of those pieces. Come on in, before it gets, it all gets sold. It's here waiting for you, you get the first chance at it or whatever. Taking pictures and texting them over to customers and driving sales. Driving sales, and that keeps them busy and engaged. And at the end of the day, no matter who you are as a person, when you do something and you get a response, it feels good. So if I text somebody and I say, hey, we just got a whole new collection of Sync-Acept in, you're going to love this. And that person comes in and buys some, that feels so good, right? It's just good.
I used to, with my team for my stores, when I had stores at Fred Siegel, it was back in the day, but it was well before cell phones. It was Fred Siegel, every celebrity in the city shopped at it. So it was paparazzi everywhere. But we were very lucky, and we had the trust of celebrities that gave us their phone numbers and addresses. And, my staff had client books, and it was, anytime anything came in, they were calling them and saying, hey, they took it one step further. It was like, we just got in the Pirate Surf shirts you were waiting for. I pulled you all the new colors and your sizes. They're here for you. Or if you want, I can drop them off at your house and you can try. That's the one thing at Fred's. It was very spoon to mouth sales. And it was, not just because they were celebrities, but the everyday customers, the same thing. But there's something about a salesperson that will take it that much further. And I have to laugh when I said clean, because Fred, it was like, there's no one in the store. You got time to clean. You got time to clean, time to lean. You got time to clean. So, but that time of taking those moments and reaching out to your customers, the challenge is, now with social media, it's like, or with cell phones and emails and whatnot, customers aren't big on giving emails, and a lot of them aren't big on giving phone numbers. So what's one of your tips that you would say? Because I know you had talked about email building, like and this is one of the free tips that I'm hoping you'll give everybody, is like, email lists are the hardest things to build, I think, because again, the customer, I feel like, feels like, which I get all the time, blown up with a million effing emails. And it's like, oh my God, like where I understand why people are hesitant on giving. So what is a tip that you can give retailers and wholesalers to build an email list?
So it's a little different for both. And it has to be, because when you are a retailer, it's getting them to subscribe maybe to your website, getting it at the front desk. I know that it's a little harder on that end. I think it is. On a wholesale level, there is a trick, and it is a little bit of magic, and I'm going to share a little bit with you. So your computer has all the answers when it comes to wholesale pipeline. It has all the answers. The brands have all the answers on the stores that would be perfect for you. And the stores have all the answers on what brands you should look at when it comes to finding those stores. So what I mean by that is this. If you made a list of all the customers that the competitors that you have, okay? Just made a list of a couple competitors. And then you went to their website and you found out what stores they're working with, right? I'm finding out, okay, this is XYZ brand and they're a competitor of mine, and they list all the stores that they're working with. So I'm going to look at their store list and I'm going to think like, well, if they can sell this product really well, or if it's a brand that sells well with my brand, maybe I'm going to look at all the stores they're working with, and I'm going to invite them to take a look at my brand too. Now, on the flip side of that, if I pull up one of those stores that brand is working with, I pull up one of those stores and I look at all of the brands that they're working with. Now I know, okay, I'm going to build a list of these brands, because if this store, which would be a perfect store for my brand, is carrying all these brands, then probably any of these brands, their store list, those stores are going to be stores that would carry my brand too. So literally all of your answers are right in front of you with your keyboard going. They're right in front of you.
That's brilliant.
It is the fastest and best way to find the right stores for you. Now, back again to the retail side of it. I feel like things, I know it's tough, but if you have, for example, I'm just going to use Sephora as an example. They have my email because you know what? I want the points. So at the end of the day, if they're saying to me, all right, well, we need to have your email address or we need to have your phone number, because we want to put you on a reward system, then I'm sure going to give it. Give me something and I'm going to give you my email address for sure. So I think that that's kind of that, a give and take, if you will. Give me something and if it's a store that I want to shop at all the time, I'm going to want those points or whatever it is, or, if I spend so much money, I get this, whatever it is. So then I'm going to give you my information.
I love that. Thank you. Sure. Talk a little bit about the courses that you sell.
Okay. So, the foundational sales, which is the lead generation, really, really building that initial pipeline. And then taking that, now I'm starting to build my lead list, right? Now, what do I do with the leads to make them work for me? So I do a lot of branding. We talk a lot about branding because interestingly enough, a lot of brands aren't really getting their message across the right way, like the messages that they need to get across to the right customer so that they'll buy from them. So we talk a lot about messaging and branding throughout a lot of my courses. And then in that second course, we talk about emailing because the first touch is going to be through email. It's the easiest and fastest way to start getting your business exposure and visibility. Because at the end of the day, the more sales you make is going to come from just exposure and visibility. So I teach you how to do that. We start with leads, then we go to emails, and then we go to sales 101, sales 201, best practices of market, which is a big deal. It's my favorite course to teach, quite honestly. And then I take you through I start to curate it based on what your needs are. We have pricing module. I have setting goals for the entire year, basing those on month to month and adding revenue generators. So we know not only do I have my goals for the year, but I'm actually going to be able to achieve my goals, or I've set myself up because every month I put something in, I plug something in that's going to help me make my goals. We do line sheets, multi streams of revenue, meaning the different avenues of revenue generators. So, I mean, it just kind of like they're all still evolving, emails and analytics and how to use reporting to help drive sales, how to leave an effective voicemail that's going to get somebody to actually call you back. I'm like diarrhea of the mouth, quite honestly.
Well, I'm excited because this is going to be coming out before the Dallas apparel market, but it's also going to be coming out.
Yes.
Dallas, the apparel market will hit first, and then their follow will be the gift show. So we have a lot of manufacturers that listen to us. So I'm excited for them to hear this so they can reach out to you because it doesn't just apply to Dallas. You can hire Michele. She can talk to you about the Atlanta gift show. She can talk to you because it's the same setup. You're going to a gift show. It's your first time. No one gives you any information other than here's your booth and here's the rules on how to set up and what you can and can't do. And other than that, it's up to you. So I wanted to make sure we had you on before the whole show season all across the board, but as well as so our retailers could hear so they could think about, put a bug in their ear about sales. So thank you so much for joining us. Give everybody your handles and how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's Michele with one L because you're two, right?
Old school.
Yeah. So it's Michele with one L at MicheleDotySales.com. So MICHELE at MICHELEDOTY. See it right back there, .com with MicheleDotySales.com. And my phone number is 630-408-6399. Call me. I would love to hear from anybody who's really just looking for some support and wants to up their game. And to all of you retailers out there, if you do need some sales support with training with your team, and honestly, not just sales support, but I am the biggest cheerleader and hype girl, and that's free. I will give you all the motivation and inspiration you need, and your team needs, because at the end of the day, like I said, enthusiasm, nothing great happens without it. So.
Thank you. I will, I can't wait to hear about how the shows go. And I can't wait to, hopefully I see you this gift show because
I know
last set of shows, I have not seen you yet or met you in person. So hopefully this season I will.
Yes. Well, you were working, girl. you were working down, you were doing your podcast.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a great opportunity. But it was literally like, I keep saying like all these people I meet on the podcast, because we all cross paths. I think there's maybe a handful of 5 people that I've actually made the connection to. So hopefully we'll make a point. Good.